Hi everyone, welcome to C Style Live, Carolina Style Live. It's Bree W. Thank you so much for being here today, and I am so excited to talk with the fabulous. Okay, let me tell you, because she is an amazing woman. It's award-winning life coach, motivational speaker, entrepreneur. It's Miss Stacia Pierce. I call her Stacia Fierce. How are you, Miss Stacia?
Good. How are you doing today?
I am well. Thank you so much for joining us today. So we have quite a few questions from people who love this topic about success, and it's so important to us. We want to make sure that we're successful people, and I am looking forward to learning from you today as well. So I had a question from a person who has a lot of goals and a lot of things that they want to do. What advice could you give to someone who has a lot of goals and a lot of things? They've got their irons and a lot of fires, and they don't know exactly where to start when it comes to making that success be reality and what they'd like to do. Where would you direct someone who has a lot of things they'd love to do?
I would say the first thing to do is, I always say what's written is real. And so the first thing to do is to get all this stuff out of your head, all these goals and things you want to do, and get it on paper. And I'm a big advocate of writing things down and getting on paper. And so I would say write them down, put it on paper. And then after you put it on paper, then what you need to do is you need to take and look at this, because I'm one of those people that have 99 things going on at one time. You know, I could go in a million directions. So I have to always bring myself in and say, okay, what 3 things am I going to focus on right now? And that's the thing, when people are really creative and they have a lot of goals and a lot of things they want to do, I think they should pull it together and get their top 3. And focus on 3 things that you want to really get done. Like, say it's writing a book, or you want to start your speaking engagement, or you got to get your website up, or whatever that is. And then knock those 3 things out the park. And of course, when you have those 3 things, they lead to, you know, a bunch of other little things you have to do to get those 3 things done. But knock those things out the park, and then keep going down your goal list, and you'll achieve a lot more. What happens is people usually try to do their whole list, or they either just stop and freeze and like, I don't do anything because I have so many things I want to do, so they do nothing. So I say narrow down to your top 3.
That's good. That's really good advice. Now, the person who, another question that I received is, how do you know when you should give up on your dream? For instance, and I hear a lot of people, don't give up on your dream. But let's say maybe there's someone who is wants to be maybe a singer, but maybe they can't sing that well, but their dream is to be a singer. And they're trying, and obviously maybe it's not working, as opposed to the person who does have a voice and does have a gift, and they want to be, a musician or a singer, and it's not working for them, and they've been doing it for a while. How do you know when to stop and say, maybe I need to try something else, and when to keep going and push to that success?
That is so good. That's what I call being introspective. You have to, like, to thy own self be true. And that's one of my statements I say all the time. I always tell my team this when I'm coaching clients. I say, to thy own self be true. And that means come to a place of truth. If you're pressing and pressing, and you're trying to get a dream off the ground, you're trying to get something to happen, or maybe you've been in the field for a long time and you're just not seeing a return on your investment, you're not seeing things turn into anything major for you, then I would say, go get out your journal. I'm an advocate, of course. I have my success journal, and I really push it because I believe journaling is a core of finding yourself and answering your own problems. I know I've used it my whole life. When I had to give up things or had to move on, it came from me sitting by myself, being introspective, to thy own self being true, pulling out my journal, and then start doing some, processing. So I would say, okay, if I've been at this for a year or so now, there's no return on investment, there's nobody responding to this, then what is it, Stacia? Do you need to go learn more? Do you not know enough? Are you perceived as you don't know enough? Then I would say, well, no, I think I've learned a lot in this area. Okay, are you really just not good at this? Like, say, for instance, if you're singing or something, okay, has anybody said you really can sing well? Or are you just an average singer? Do you not really sing well? And then I would ask myself, do I really want this bad enough? Because how much work and energy am I really putting into it? Is my heart really in this? Am I really trying to make this work? Am I doing all the lessons? Am I investing in getting training and that kind of thing? And if I'm not, if I'm kind of half-hearted about it, then maybe I need to give this up and do something I'm better at. So that's where I think you say, okay, let's move on. There's not a lot of the return on it. I'm not putting my whole heart into it. I'm not getting the response I need from it, so let's move on. And sometimes you have to move on from things that are a dream. It's just not the time for it. So there's times when something, this is a good dream and it is something in your heart, but you're not ready. It's not the season for it. So you can move on, and sometimes it'll come back across your path later when you're ready and you can take advantage of it.
Wow, that is so good, because dreams are so hard to give up on if they're not working. That was really good. Now going back to the dreams and tapping in to your gifts as a life coach, how can someone find their purpose? Let's say they're in transition. Maybe they just lost a job or quit a job, or they're at a job and they hate it, or they've been doing it for a while and they don't feel that it's their necessarily their calling or their purpose. How does someone find the purpose in life so that they can go and do that?
Purpose, I call it the path to purpose. And actually, my site people can go there and take this 6-week course and find their purpose for free, because that's the biggest question in the nation. What is my purpose? So I used to do this course, and then I said, you know what, let me just give this to everybody for free, because everyone's looking for their purpose. They can just figure out what this is so they can move on. But how you find your purpose, one of the first lessons I give in that path to purpose is I tell people to go get 6 file folders. And get 6 file folders that you love, something really pretty, something that fits your personality. Go to the store and find 6 beautiful file folders. I tell them to come home and label those file folders with 6 categories of interest, things that you love. I don't care if one of them says flowers. If you love flowers, put flowers on there. If you love cooking, put cooking on one. If you love training or teaching people, put training and teaching. So just really sit and think of what these 6 things that you love in life. Label those folders, and then go on a research hunt. Hunt and gather information concerning those 6 areas, those 6 categories of what it is that you feel like you love and what you like. Just look it up. Look on Pinterest for things. Look on Google things and get information on them. As you start to gather the information, then start asking yourself, why do I love this? And what does this have to do with my purpose? And you always have to ask yourself questions. Why do I love this? What does this have to do with my purpose? What does this have to do with my purpose? What am I going to do with this? And then the answers will begin to come. The answers will begin to come to you. You'll start seeing some kind of formation come together from what you're gathering, from what you love. And then I tell people, there's a whole process in it, but then I tell people from there, just narrow it down and say, okay, I really love teaching and I really love flowers. Okay, maybe I need to teach something about flowers. And usually when you start on your purpose path, you're not doing exactly what you're going to be doing later, but I don't wait and try to figure out the whole thing. Just jump in there, do something with it, get started, and then things will begin to come together.
That's good. I had one more question that someone asked, and then I want to talk about the new tool for success that I'm using, something that I'm using of yours that I'm finding very helpful. But the last question I have from someone is work-life balance. And this one is coming from a successful single woman. Now, I know I have this question for work-life balance as well. I have 4 kids. So is there a work-life balance, or is that a myth? And she want to know specifically how you find your work-life balance.
Okay, so to me, I think the work-life, I call it a myth, because why I call it a myth is because balance is doing what is necessary at the time. I get this question every day. I do. It's like, as a life coach, people are like, help me get balance in my life. Balance is doing what's necessary at the moment. I think the reason we got a balance is because we're trying to find these perfect conditions. We're trying to find this perfect path, this perfect scenario, this perfect life, and there is none. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is I have kids. My kids are at a different stage now because they're older. Mm-hmm. But when I was on at the core of my success path, really making things happen and building what I'm living now, and my kids were small and they were little. And they were in everything. I think my kids did everything there was to do. If it was singing, dancing, choreography, just everything. They were in every sport.
Wow.
And so I couldn't be everywhere, and I couldn't do my business, but I couldn't be all of my business and not be there for them. So I would pick and choose as the weeks went by where I was going to be, what was most important, and where did I need to show up right then in the moment. And I think when you get satisfied with that, when you can get at peace with, I can't do everything, I can't be everywhere for everyone, somebody's going to have some no's. Sometimes in life, people may be a little bit disappointed I didn't show up for it, but at the end of the day, I got to show up for myself, and we'll all be good in the end. So was my approach. And when I could be there for my kids, I was there. And, or sometimes I would say, okay, honey, you have to do this. I'm going to go. My husband will go do something. I'll go do something else. Or sometimes we both be gone. And I would say, hey, we're gone. I have to hire somebody. Hey, can you go take them to this? Because I have to go travel. And that, like back when they were young, I would speak all the time. Like, I'm going to go speak at this engagement. Can you take them to this big game they have this weekend? So I think that's where it comes in. And then the other thing with work-life balance is guilt. That's the big thing, especially if you're dealing with single parents. Oh my goodness, they have this guilt. I counsel and coach this almost once a week at least. This comes up. But there's a guilt of, I feel like I'm not there for enough people, or I'm not there for my kids, or I'm not there for my clients, or they live with this guilt that I'm not there for everybody else. And you have to just dispel that. You have to decide, you know what, I'm not going to be guilty when I can't show up. I'm one person. I only can do so much. And at the same time, I'm a better person if I achieve my goals. I'm going to be better if I can get to some level of success. If I'm happy, I'm a better person. If I have more income and we can do more things, we're all going to be better. And so I think that that's where the balance is to come in, where you have to forgive yourself. You have to let things go. You have to not feel guilty about your situation. You have to do what you can do, and what you can't do, don't worry about. Live in the moment and be all right with that.
I love that. And that's really going to be helpful. That's already helped me. And I know definitely that work-life balance is like, I don't think
big.
Like that. There's not.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the success journal, which I have and I love. I've started on, and I love this because it has the tools to success on the inside of different pages about writing your goals and writing your life story, meditating in the morning and being grateful and thankful and putting in your notes. Tell us about this planner and how we can get it. And I'm going to put the link inside, but share a little bit about the planner with everyone.
Oh my gosh. I live by the system. So the success journal, you can get it either at my site at lifecoachtowomen.com, but you can also get it on Amazon as well. But I'll tell you how this came about. It came about because I have been using this system forever, for eons. I mean, probably like maybe 20 years, I'm telling you how old I am, maybe 20, 25 years. I've been using this system. And I started using it with my coaching clients. But what I was doing was I was keeping it a secret. So it was like, only if you coach with me would you ever know how to use a journal and have success. And so I would teach it to my clients, and they were having like mega success with all these stories. So my assistant came to me one day and she was like, I said, I'm working on new projects for the next year. And she was like, are you going to share your real secret to success? Are you going to like share what you really do, what we see you do? And I was like, what? She's like, your journaling process is like changes everyone's life. And I was like, oh no. So at first it was really hard because sometimes you feel like that's my baby and this is my coach. This is how I coach people and that kind of thing. And I said, finally I got quiet. I prayed and I said, you know what? Why am I holding on to this thing so tight? It's really real. It's really a system. It really works. I need to share it with the world. So I did. So I created the journal and I made it real, pretty and beautiful. Mine's what that I used to make for me didn't look like this. Mine's was just in a notebook. But we did the whole design, got a design team together and made it really pretty and put the tabs in how like I would journalize. And I came up with the system. But I tell you what, it works because it's a transformative tool and it's so simple. And I believe journaling by the month is what makes a real big difference, is that I encourage people to get a new journal like every month or at least every other month. Sometimes people say, I can't use it all up in a month. It takes me like 2 months to get through it. But I tell them to change it and get another one every other month, because I really want them to start writing in their journal every day at night, putting what they're grateful for. when you stop every day and just say, you know what, I'm grateful for this thing that happened today, it makes you, one, not feel like things aren't going your way. Usually when people feel bitter or they feel like nothing's happening for me, why me? It's because they got into a place of ungratefulness. They have a little gratitude. And when you get to that place, nothing happens for you because you're whining and complaining about when's my time? When am I going to get my big thing to happen? When's this big thing going to go off for me? And when you're in that state, nothing big can happen for you. It's when you get to the place of, I'm so thankful for this day. I'm so thankful for the little things. Then all of a sudden things start popping off and everything big starts happening for you. So that's one of the things I try to get everyone to do every day is to stop, reflect, and just be grateful and not a complainer. I tell my clients, don't complain. And whatever you want to complain about, think about what you're grateful for, the opposite of it, write it down.
That is so good. That is so good.
That is huge. It makes a big difference. Then in the journal that we have a page that this has been my real big secret to success. I've been storyboarding since I was like 13 years old and that kind of thing, but I found this system that really worked. Every week I started, this is probably like maybe 20 years ago, I started making a visual picture little board of what my week would look like, what the following week was going to be like, what I would visualize it. This is what I want to happen this week. So if I needed, like say I'm doing a workshop, I wanted my workshop full, I would put pictures of the seats being full, how many attendees it would be. If I'm working on a book launch and I want it to go over a certain way, I would put how I want that book launch to be. Or if I'm working on writing the book and I want to get 5 chapters done, I would write 5 chapters are done this week. I would just totally visualize what the week would look like. And so by doing that, by visualizing what the week would look like, what the next week was what was going to happen the next week, by doing that, I started having so many major things happen week by week. So people start saying, Dr. Stacia, this is not real. Really? How are you manifesting all this stuff? How are you keeping all this media attention? How are you everywhere all the time? What's happening? I'm telling you, for like a month, I would put down like a magazine I wanted to be in the next week or something was going to happen. Like, Glamour called me out the blue. I mean, I put down one week, Glamour magazine, I want to be in Glamour. And it was no physical contact, no anything. They contacted me by email and said, hey, would you write this article with us? And I wrote the article with them. And I'm telling you, I've been working with them for a couple of years since then. But it came from visualizing and stating and putting in my journal. So it really is, when it says success attraction, it really attracts success in your life, especially when you follow my methods. And then you write your I am statement, the big I am. Oh my goodness. And if you ever took one of my journaling courses, then you really understand how to do it. But when you write in the present tense, I am accomplishing this, and you write it as if it already happened. I tell people to script write, or I call it prophetic writing. Write it as if it's a prophetic thing, like this thing is happening for you, like you've already seen it, it already happened, and you already have been there. And you start writing that in your journal week by week, things begin to just show up for you and happen, and you start having manifestation after manifestation after manifestation. And I tell you, you're on this road of success where you have to pinch yourself because you're like, is this really real? And when what was happening before? What wasn't I doing before? But really it's because people weren't writing enough. A lot of times things are just not happening because people aren't scripting their life. They're not writing their thoughts down. They're not getting their ideas out their head and brain dumping. And they're just not really seeing the vision of what they want for themselves. And so they want something to happen, but they think everyone else is supposed to give it to them, but they don't know that they have to go and grab it.
Yeah. I've seen you on Oprah Winfrey's network and many magazines. So if you're saying that this is work and I am going to try this, I'm already trying it. I'm already feeling that gratitude, and focusing on the gratitude does help you to get a more positive attitude. Because I have been there where I'm like, what is going on? But when you start focusing on gratitude, is definitely very helpful. Well, thank you for joining us with this chat today. I'm going to make sure to put the success journal down in the comments below for anyone who is interested in picking up this beautiful Instagram-worthy planner. I'm really enjoying this as well. And also, I'll put Stacia's website in the description box, lifecoachforwomen.com, so you can learn more about her. She also has lots of conferences. She has a fashion blog. Stacia has a lot going on. So I thank you for your time and taking the time to chat with us today. And we will see you next time in Carolina Style Live. Stacia, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Dave.
Thank you.